Okay, hello students. Today I'm going to talk about understanding the passive voice and how it differs from active. So first of all, in an active sentence, the subject does the action, okay? For example, my brother helped a lost dog. The action is helped, right? And who helped the lost dog? My brother, right? So here we see my brother doing the action of helping, okay? In contrast, in a passive sentence, the subject receives the action or gets the action from another person. So here's an example of a passive sentence. A lost dog was helped by my brother. Okay? So we have the same action as the first sentence, help, right? But here, a lost dog doesn't do the action. The lost dog doesn't help my brother, right? The lost dog receives the action from my brother. The lost dog gets help from my brother. Okay? So here the subject is receiving the action. That's the main difference between understanding the difference between active and passive. Okay? Now how to form the two voices. For active, we have the regular construction that we're used to, which is subject first, then verb, and finally the object, right? Remember that the object usually receives the action, right? So we could say, I helped him. Him is the person that I helped. He's receiving my help, so that's the object. Also remember that an object must be a noun, okay? So every time that we see an object, it has to be a noun. And if it isn't a noun, then it's not an object, okay? So in this task, I'd like you to try to identify the subject, verb, and object in these sentences, okay? So take a few minutes. You can pause the video, but I'm going to give you the answers in a few minutes. Okay, so if you said that instructors are the subject, that's great. Someone is also a subject, that's wonderful. People are a subject. And the last one, that cake, is also the subject with two words, okay? For the verb, we have teach is the verb, stole is a verb, are giving is the present progressive form of the verb, and looks is the verb. Perfect. And finally, for the object, right? The object is the one that's a little bit tricky. Remember, it has to be a noun, okay? So ESL is an object. My bike is an object, okay? Candy is the object here. And finally, good. Is good a noun? No, good is an adjective. So here in number 4, actually, it does not have an object, okay? Very good. So again, this was how to form the active sentence, subject, verb, and object. Okay. Now let's compare to the passive. Okay. So I'm going to put here, this is active. And how to form the passive. So for the passive, we're going to actually move the object from the end. We're going to move it all the way to the beginning of the sentence in the passive. Okay. Then we're going to take the subject and we're going to move the subject all the way to the end of the passive sentence, okay? We're also going to include this word by, okay? And we'll refer to this from now on as the by phrase, okay? I put it in parentheses because sometimes the by phrase might be important and we want to include it, and other times we will erase it, we will omit it, okay? So we can easily just make a passive sentence like that without the by phrase too. Okay. In the middle, we have a different construction for the verb. Okay. Every passive sentence must have a be verb. Okay, some form of be. And every passive sentence must have a past participle form of the main verb. Okay. So let's look at how we do that. Okay. First of all, be takes the verb tense of the active sentence's verb. Okay? So in our active sentence, whatever verb tense this verb is in, we're going to transfer that to change be to be that same tense. Okay? For example, down here we have number 1. Instructors teach ESL at Chabot College, right? So here our verb in our active sentence is teach, right? And which verb tense is that? Simple present, right? So we're going to change our be verb to be simple present, which is either am, is, or are. Okay? Then we're going to look one more time at the main verb, whatever that verb is, and that main verb is going to become the past participle form. So we have down here, main verb always changes to V3 or past participle. Okay? So again, looking at our active sentence, and our active sentence here, we have the main verb teach. Now we need past participle of this main verb teach, right? So I know teach, taught, verb 3 is also taught, okay? So that's going to be our past participle form of the main verb in blue here, okay? And for B, we still haven't chosen which form of the present simple we want to use. We have to construct the rest of the sentence, okay? Okay, so again, looking at the passive, we know the first thing we need is the object, right? From the active sentence, it now becomes the beginning of the sentence. So here in number 1, we can see we've already highlighted the object ESL. So that's going to be the beginning, okay? And then now that helps us understand which form of be to use, right? We can say ESL am, ESL is, or ESL are, okay? We want to choose is because ESL is a thing, right? ESL is taught, right? Now the last thing we need to do is to just think about the by phrase. Do we want to include it? Okay. We could say ESL taught is taught, and the subject is instructors. So we'll say by instructors, okay, at Chabot College, okay. But is it really necessary to say by instructors, right? We might want to omit this because it's obvious that ESL is taught by instructors and not by students, right? Okay, very good. So let's look at number 2 and try number 2 as well, okay? Someone stole my bike, okay? So I'm going to start once again with the object. The object is my bike, okay? Next, I'm going to look at be, okay? And I remember that be takes the verb tense of the active sentence's verb, okay? The active sentence's verb is stole. And what is the verb tense of stole? It's not simple present. Simple past, okay? So we're going to change be into simple past, which is either was or were, okay? Again, we can look here. My bike was or my bike were. My bike is one thing, right? It. So we're going to say my bike was, okay? Next, we're going to look at the past participle of the main verb. Change it to V3, past participle, okay? Past participle of stole. Steal, stole, stolen, right? Okay. Now the last thing, again, is to look at, do we need the by phrase, okay? Do we want to include? Remember, the by phrase comes from the subject of the active sentence. So the active sentence subject is someone, by someone. My bike was stolen by someone. If I don't know who the person is, I don't think it's necessary to say by someone, right? If I know who stole it, I will say by him or by John or his name. But because I don't know, it's not necessary. Okay, number 3. Okay, people are giving candy to children in costumes. Okay, once again, starting with the object, right? Object is in pink here already for us. Candy, okay? Be takes the verb tense of the active sentence's verb. Here we have a different verb tense. What verb tense is this? Are giving. Are tells us it's present, and the ing tells us it's progressive. So it's present progressive, okay? How do we make be into present progressive? Okay, so again, we can have am, is, or are, and then be and ing to make this progressive, right? Again, this makes it present, and the ing makes it progressive, okay? So let's erase this. Candy, am, is, or are being, okay? Definitely, I think it's Candy is being, right? Because Candy is a non-countable noun. So we're always going to use third person singular. Okay. All right. Next thing we're going to do is past participle. Past participle of the main verb. Main verb is give. Okay. So give, gave, given. Okay. Candy is being given. Okay. To children in costumes. Okay. Once again, do we want to put the by phrase, candy is being given by people to children in costumes? Not really necessary, okay? And again, a lot of the passive sentences, we don't need to include the by phrase. Many times we will not include it, okay? Okay, this brings us to number 4, the last one. That cake looks good, okay? Remember, the first thing we're going to do is look for the object, okay? But remember here, we don't have an object, right? Good is an adjective, and it's not an object. So what do we do? Nothing, okay? If a sentence does not have an object, it cannot have a passive voice form, okay? So that's really important to remember. Not all sentences have an object, and therefore, not all sentences can be in passive, okay? All right. So I will leave you with one task, which is to change the active sentences to passive using the steps you saw me do above, okay? And then you can continue by doing the homework worksheet that I gave you. And if you'd like other exercises to practice as well, please feel free to email me at jtodd@chabotcollege.edu or jltodd@peralta.edu. Okay. All right. So I hope that this has been helpful to you guys in understanding how to use and construct the passive and how it's different from active. Okay. See you on Tuesday.